Mama Ida Odinga's powerful message to Oburu Odinga after hosting Edwin Sifuna has sparked mixed reactions. Welcome to Kenya Lens Media, where we give you news updates as they break, and kindly if you are new here, consider subscribing. Now, fresh political tensions have erupted inside ODM after Ida Odinga publicly opposed attempts to remove Edwin Sifuna as the party's Secretary General. Her intervention has intensified an already sensitive leadership dispute, exposing widening cracks within one of Kenya's most influential political movements at a critical moment. The disagreement, which has been building quietly for months, is now unfolding to the open, with the senior party figures reportedly divided over both procedure and political direction. Analysts warn the standoff could shape ODM's internal stability and also broader national positioning ahead of the next election cycle. Ida Odinga's remarks have added significant political weight to the dispute, speaking amid growing speculation about changes in the party secretariat. She maintained that Sifuna remains the legitimate holder of the Secretary General position. Her position reflects concerns among sections of ODM loyalists who believe that attempts to alter the party's leadership structure may have moved too quickly or without full consensus. By framing the conflict as a matter requiring dialogue and patience, she signaled an ease within influential circles traditionally seen as stabilizing forces inside ODM. Political observers note that voices associated with the Odinga family rarely intervene publicly in internal party disputes unless the situation is considered serious. The statement therefore underscores the sensitivity of the current moment. Multiple accounts from the individuals familiar with recent ODM meetings describe increasingly tense internal discussions. Senior officials have reportedly clashed over how the party should manage its leadership structure and communicate its strategy to supporters. While some participants have downplayed the exchange as a routine political debate, others acknowledge that disagreements have grown sharper and more personal in tone. The friction appears to revolve around both procedural questions and deeper strategic differences. One camp argues that leadership adjustments are necessary to reposition the party for future political contests. Another faction insists that any major changes must strictly follow established party rules and traditions to avoid undermining institutional credibility. The resulting stalemate has left supporters uncertain about the party's immediate direction. At the heart of the ODM wrangle is a broader debate over the party's relationship with the administration of William Ruto. Some ODM leaders are said to favor pragmatic engagement strategy, arguing that cooperation can unlock development benefits for supporters and maintain the party's relevance in national decision-making. Others warn that too much proximity to government risks blurring the party's opposition identity and weakening its long-term electoral appeal. This strategic divide has surfaced repeatedly in recent months, but the current leadership dispute has brought into sharper focus. Analysts say that the question of how ODM positions itself nationally is likely to remain a central fault line. Even as the tension simmered, the party's National Executive Committee proceeded with resolutions that some members now contest. Critics argue that proper consultation and constitutional procedures may not have been fully observed before the proposed leadership changes were advanced. Supporters of the NEC action, however, maintain that internal mechanisms were followed and that the party must retain flexibility to reorganize when necessary. This procedural dispute is particularly sensitive in ODM, a party that has historically emphasized internal democracy and structured decision-making. Any perception that due process was bypassed could carry reputational consequences among the grassroots base. Amid the escalating rhetoric, several figures have begun urging restraint and dialogue. Ida Odinga herself likened the conflict to family disagreement that requires careful handling rather than abrupt confrontations. Other voices within ODM circles have echoed the call for unity, warning that prolonged infighting could distract the party from national issues such as the cost of living, youth unemployment, and economic recovery. Political veterans note that ODM has previously navigated internal storms through negotiation and compromise. Whether that tradition can hold under current pressures remains uncertain. Beyond the immediate dispute over the Secretary General position, political analysts detect deeper succession dynamics at play, and ODM is gradually navigating a transition period following the long dominance for Raila Odinga, and the competing visions of the party's future are becoming more visible. Some emerging leaders favor a generational shift and a strategic recalibration, while established figures emphasize continuity and ideological consistency. These differing outlooks are now intersecting with the tactical disagreements about alliances and party structure. If unmanaged, analysts warn such overlapping tensions can accelerate factionalism within major political parties. At the grassroots level, the visible disputes have begun to generate concern among ODM supporters. Party loyalists in traditional strongholds have expressed unease about public nature of the disagreements, fearing they could weaken the party's bargaining power nationally. In Kenya's competitive political environment, perceptions of disunity often carry tangible electoral consequences. Rival parties closely monitor such moments, looking for opportunities to attract disaffected supporters or leaders. For ODM, maintaining the image of a disciplined and cohesive movement has long been central to its political brand. The ODM wrangles are unfolding against a broader backdrop of heightened political activity across Kenya. Newspaper reviews and political briefings point to increasing realignments, security debates, and early positioning by various parties ahead of the future elections. The wider environment raises the stakes of ODM's internal dispute, and what might otherwise remain an internal organizational matter now carries national implications because of the party's pivotal role in coalition politics. Political observers say the coming months will test whether ODM can manage its differences quietly, or whether the disagreements will deepen into a more disruptive split. The public defense of Edwin Sifuna by Ida Odinga marks a significant moment in ODM's evolving internal struggle. More than routine leadership disagreements, the dispute reflects deeper questions about party procedure, strategic direction, and succession planning. If ODM successfully manages the tensions through dialogue and institutional processes, then it could emerge more cohesive and better prepared for the next electoral cycle. However, if the disagreements harden into entrenched factional battles, then the party risks weakening its national influence at a time when political alliances are rapidly shifting. For Kenya's broader political landscape, the developments inside ODM are being watched closely because the party remains a central player in opposition politics. Its internal stability or lack of it will likely shape coalition dynamics, voter perceptions, and strategic calculations heading towards 2027. In the immediate term, the key test will be whether party leaders heed calls for reconciliation or continue down a path of contested decisions. The outcome will not only determine the fate of ODM's current leadership structure, but also signal the party's readiness to navigate the increasingly competitive political terrain ahead. That is all for today from Kenya Lens Media. Kindly, if you're new here, consider subscribing as a way of supporting us and also helping this platform grow.